Now let's look at number 5. Number 5 is the liver. This big thing here. Now it's big because it does a lot of things. Mostly it helps to clean up all the poisons in our body. So all the bad things in our body, the liver is where it's clean. But it produces something called bile. Bile. So I want us to practice these 2 words, please. Liver. And the substance, one important substance it produces is bile. And by the way, you'll like this. I think you'll like this. The reason why your poo-poo is brown is because of this. Now, many of you may have noticed that if you have a little baby brother or a little baby sister, when they're very, very young babies, their poo-poo is what color? What color is their poo-poo? Anyone know?
Green.
Green. Yes, it's green. It's a horrible, yuck, green. And actually, that is the real color of poo-poo. Now, why? Why does baby poo change from green to brown later? Well, the reason is this. When babies are very, very young, all the green that is made here inside the stomach, usually the acid. Now, you know this is green here because many of you, when you've been sick and you vomit, you can see inside the stomach when it comes up sometimes, if you vomit lots and lots, what color is it when you vomit lots and lots? What color? It's also green, yellow. And that's because here inside the stomach, it's a green, yellowy substance and it comes up. Well, little babies, this green yellow in their tummy goes all the way through their small intestine, up through their large intestine and comes out of poo. That's because at this time, they don't make bile, because bile is made in part from dead blood cells. Your old blood cells are taken from the liver and put into the bile duct, and then they're put into the small intestine. And that brown bile, that brown old blood, that dead blood, mixes with all the food inside your small intestine, and it becomes brown. So that's why baby's poo-poo goes from green to brown after about, I think it's about 10 days, something like that. That's because they start producing old blood cells and bile. They start producing proper bile, so liver. And it's located under the diaphragm, so it's right under where you breathe, and it breaks down fats. Bile breaks down fats and gives you that brown color for poo-poo. And 6, we said, was the small intestine. Small intestine. Small intestine is a very, 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 very long tube. And this is where all of the substances in your body, all of the nutrients and all of the water that you need for your body are taken from the food and pass from inside the small intestine into your blood. We'll talk more about that in just a moment, but basically the small intestine is where we absorb all of the nutrients. So carbohydrates, fats, proteins, minerals, vitamins are all absorbed in the small intestine. The large intestine also absorbs some, but not as much as the small intestine. And you'll see why in just a moment. All of it goes through there, and you can see how long it is. It is very, very long, and it's curled up together, but it's one tube. It's not many. It's just one very, 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 very long tube, but it's squashed down together. But it's only one tube. So what happens is the food goes through your stomach, into the small intestine, gets enzymes from the pancreas, gets enzymes from the gallbladder, and then passes through all of this tubing in your small intestine. Okay. It's about 6 meters long, which if you think about it is a very, very long tube. And it churns the food, breaks down the rest of the food materials to release the nutrients, and it's coiled. And again, we get more enzymes, lipase and amylase. Don't worry about all the enzyme names. We're not going to spend too much time on those, but you can gather things like protease, lipase, amylase. These are important. We said there was something special about the small intestine. We said there was something special about the small intestine, and it's this. It's not just one long tube. It is shaped in such a way that it can maximize how much nutrient it can absorb. Now, we won't have this in the book, but I want to point it out to you. When we look inside the small intestine here, you can see it has lots and lots of little points on its surface, and it looks like this. It looks like this. These things are called villi. Villi. Now, I'm going to ask a question and see if anyone can answer this. Why do you think all of these little ups and downs, surfaces, why do these villi sit on the inside of our small intestine? Why? Does anyone know?
To increase the surface that can absorb the food.
Was that Azim? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Azim, you're absolutely correct. If this was just a smooth surface, then yes, the food can be absorbed. But if you look, because we have all these ups and downs, we have all this area here, all this area, and there's many, 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 many of them, we increase the chance, we increase the opportunity, we increase the surface area, as Azim said, for food to be absorbed into these blood vessels here. Now you can see the blood vessels. Each villi has blood vessels, and all of the food moves inside. All of the nutrients move inside to the blood. And there's a different way that happens, but we won't discuss it at this level. Okay. So the villi are very, very small. You can see here. They have tiny ridges, and they increase the surface area of where nutrients can be absorbed into these blood vessels called capillaries. Okay. We won't go much of that. And the final one, the final system we talked about is the large intestine. Now the large intestine is just this bit here. Here's the large intestine. So this is the small intestine here, but here it joins here about this point, the large intestine, and goes through here. Large intestine. And you can see the large intestine is here. This is where the small intestine joins it. And then the food continues up and around here. Now, it's at this point in this area where most of the remaining water is absorbed. About 1 liter of water is absorbed back into your body. So the water will move from the food back into your body. And that's why it's really important to make sure you drink lots and lots of water, because the water, 1 liter, is taken away from the food on the inside of your body to make your poo-poo, to make feces, which then passes outside. And again, that's a chemical and mechanical thing. Together, they work. Again, it's about 1.5 meters long, so not as long as the small intestine. It's a bit smaller, but it's also much, much bigger. And that's where usually you can feel the food moving through your body. As it gets towards leaving your body, you can feel it moving outside. Okay. Won't worry about that. Now, quick rest from me talking. We're going to have a look at the answers for our questions. Everyone, please turn to page 12, if you can, please, in your workbook. And we'll go through the answers to those questions if we can. Page 12 and page 13. Okay, the first thing, I think we did this first part already. I think we did question 6. Yes, we did that.
Yes.
Okay, just make sure we got the answers there. Just make sure, check your answers if you can, please, in your workbook. Make sure you're correct. Okay, then we move to question 7. Can anyone tell me what is letter P? Letter P. Anyone?
Oral
Mouth.
Oral cavity.
Okay, oral cavity or mouth. Absolutely correct. Let's have a look, see if we are correct. Oral cavity or mouth. If you put mouth or oral cavity, give yourself a nice red tick, please. Nice red tick. Oops, next one. Next one, Q is Nung Song Sam.
Esophagus.
Everyone together, please, if you can. Nung Song Sam.
Esophagus.
Perfect. That's what I like to hear. Esophagus. R. R is Nung Song Sam.
Stomach.
Yep. Now, again, be careful when you're pronouncing stomach. I don't want you to say stomach, stomach. I want to hear you say stomach, stomach. Nung Song Sam.
Stomach.
You're all correct. Well done. Give yourself a nice red tick if you are correct. Next one. Oops, I put it up again. No. Next one is Nung Song Sam.
Liver.
Liver. You're absolutely correct. You're correct. Give yourself a nice tick. And T is Nung Song Sam. Gallbladder. Could it be anyone else? Pancreas. It's pointing to the pancreas. Can you see the pancreas right there? The pancreas. Pancreas. Everyone say that together, please. Nung Song Sam.
Pancreas.
Very good. U is
Small
small intestine. You're absolutely right. And finally, obviously, V must be what? V must be the
large intestine.
large intestine. Very good. Okay. Now we have one more. Did everyone do this part yet or not? I think I said just right. I said just do question. Yeah, letters P to V. Okay. Now in the next 3 minutes, I'd like everyone to look in their workbook or your work or your textbook, and I'd like you, if you can, please, to do question B only question B. And I'd like you to do that in 3 minutes, starting now. State the function. Tell me, what does the digestive system do? What is it for? What is it for? We've said many times, but you might want to look on your textbook, page 15, for example. What does the digestive system do? Or you might want to look in your workbook. You might want to look in your workbook on page 7. See if you can see the written answers there. I'll come back and see who's working right now.